A quorum being present, the annual town meeting will now come to order. Madam Clerk, has the warrant been properly posted as required by the general laws of the town of Granby?
Yes, it has.
Select Board Chair Ms. Dufresne will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sitting up front today at town meeting, starting on your right, is our town clerk, the town attorney, the town administrator, and the select board. On the floor in the front is the finance committee and the school committee. Please raise your hand if you would like to discuss a motion. When I recognize you, please stand and a mic runner will come to you. You must state your name and your address before commenting. You're allowed to ask one question at a time at the mic. Please do not direct any of your comments or questions to a particular member of town meeting. Rather, direct your discussions and your questions to me, and I will direct your questions to the appropriate individual. In your handouts tonight, in addition to the annual report and a guide to the Granby town meeting, there also is an amendment worksheet that explains to you how to make an amendment and a place for you to write your amendment. If you are a non-resident or a non-voter, you must sit in the designated area to my right in the back of the gym. And I would also like to welcome our student mic runner tonight, Parker Dufresne. So please treat him kindly. He's a student. The moderator will now recognize our town clerk.
Good evening. Thank you for coming out to support our town affairs. I want to remind everyone that Monday, May 19th, is the annual town election. It will be at the high school in the gym from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. It is now too late to apply for a vote-by-mail ballot. Today was the last day I could accept applications. However, there are still 2 more days of in-person early voting at the old library, the May 13th and 14th, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you are unable to get to the polls on May 19th, and now early voting has expired, you still may apply for an absentee ballot. To apply for an absentee ballot, you must stop in the town clerk's office, and the last day to apply for an absentee ballot is Friday, May 16th, up till 5 p.m. If you have mailed your ballot back, you have now voted. However, if you haven't mailed your ballot back, I suggest that you drop it off at the Town Hall Annex in the election drop box or hand it in person in the office. If you choose to mail your ballot through the post office, it takes approximately 5 days for the mail to reach its destination. Therefore, you may not want to mail it so close to the election day. Ballots received in the election drop box will be counted up to 5 p.m. the night of the election. After 5 p.m., you must go to the polls to vote. Voters cannot bring their mail-in ballots to the polls. There is a process for mail-in ballots, and it has to be entered in the system in the office before it can be counted to make sure the voter hasn't already voted. Of course, if you rather not turn in your ballot, you can certainly go to the polls and vote in person. If you did not answer the annual town census and you had received a postcard, you are now considered an inactive voter. You need to mail that card back or call the office to update your voter status. A reminder when marking the ballot, please fill in the oval like you're playing Keno, and do not make X's, checks, or circle the circle. The reason for this is the tabulator cannot read ambiguous marks. Always look to see how many spots are available for the positions. On this year's ballot, there is only 1 position with 3 spots opened, and that's the library trustees. You may vote as many as indicated. In this case, you may vote up to 3. All other positions are vote for 1. There's write-ins. We have a few individuals that had made it known that they are running for a write-in candidate. You may bring a cheat sheet into the polls, however, you must leave with that. Do not leave any information in the polling booths. We will be checking the booths to make sure no one has left any information about candidates or the question. If your intentions are to do a write-in, write the name and address in the area designated write-ins. Also fill in the oval next to where you've written the name. If you don't know the address, it's okay to just put the name. As long as we can tell the intent of the voter, that name will be counted. However, if you have no intentions to do a write-in, please do not fill in the oval and just skip over that position and leave it blank. There is also the ballot question about West Street building. In layman's term, voting yes, you're in favor of the project, and voting no, you are not in favor of the project. Please vote and make your choice count. Thank you.
The moderator will now recognize Finance Committee Chairman, Mr. Libero.
Thank you.
I think all of them, you gotta turn them on.
Okay. Thank you, John LeBaron for the Finance Committee. To fulfill our obligations to make recommendations on all the articles that imply financing of one way or another. For this meeting, we are in favor of all the articles that have monetary value, with the exception of one, and we'll talk about that one when it comes up. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The moderator will now call on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 1.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to conduct the business of the meeting as follows. On May 12th, 2025, consider Articles 2 through 19, and on June 9th, 2025, consider Articles 20 through 25.
Second, any discussion? This requires a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Article 2 is a consent agenda. The purpose of a consent agenda is to save time by dispensing the voting on individual articles that can be expected to pass overwhelmingly. Instead, we vote on all of these articles together with one vote. If a town meeting member has a question about any of the articles I am calling and believes that separate debate or a vote on a specific article is necessary, please raise your card and yell, "Hold." I will then remove that article from the consent agenda and restore it to its original place on the warrant for debate and discussion. When I've gone through all the articles in the consent agenda, I will call for a second, and then we will vote in a single vote on the remaining articles on the consent agenda. If the majority of the members vote in favor, those articles will be considered passed by one vote through that consent agenda. So now the moderator calls on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 2.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to approve the consent agenda as follows. Article 2A, the town vote to authorize the Select Board to conduct the following activities for fiscal year 2026. A, to sell after first giving notice of time and place of sale by posting such notices of sale in some convenient and public place in the town 14 days at least before the sale, property taken by the town under tax title land of low value procedure, provided the Select Board or whomever they authorize to hold such public auction may reject any bid they deem inadequate. B, to apply for and accept federal or state grants or monies as may be made available and to allow the Select Board to expend any funds received as set forth in the appropriate application. C, to enter into a contract with the Massachusetts Highway Department for the construction and maintenance of public highways for the ensuing year. Article 2B, the town authorized the various departments to receive compensation for services rendered for fiscal year 2026 as follows. The cemetery commissioners, A, the cemetery commissioners to be compensated per the bylaws of the town of Granby, Volume 2, Chapter 15 Personal Bylaw, Appendix D, compensation plan pay schedules to dig graves at a pay rate of Grade 3, Step 1, and maintain the equipment and grounds at a pay rate of Grade 1, Step 1 in the cemeteries. B, to authorize the various departments to receive compensation for services rendered for fiscal year 2026 as follows. The cemetery commissioners, A, the cemetery commissioners to be compensated per the bylaws of the town of Granby, Volume 2, Chapter 15 Personal Bylaw, Appendix D, compensation plan pay schedules to dig graves at a pay rate of Grade 1, Step 1, and maintain the equipment and grounds at a pay rate of Grade 1, Step 1 in the cemeteries. B, the members of the Board of Assessors to be compensated $15 per parcel for necessary fieldwork and data collection for services rendered in connection with the reevaluation and recertification process involving 1/6 of the improved parcels in town. C, the members of the Board of Health or their consultants receive compensation at a wage rate of $35 per inspection or specific required activity. D, the members of the Planning Board or their appointees receive compensation at a wage rate of $65 per inspection. Article 2C, the town vote to authorize the Conservation Commission to charge a fee of $75 for each site inspection deemed necessary by a quorum of the commission. Fee shall be payable to the Town of Granby Conservation Commission and deposited in the Conservation Hatch Fund. Article 2D, the town vote to accept the following gifts in calendar year 2024 for perpetual care of cemetery lots. Charlene M. and William Roman, $775. Michael, sorry. Leela Bass Royal Estate, $775. Carol Furnett, $775. James and Jill Skibble, $1,575. Lois Mazeros. Thank you. Louise Mazeros, $775. Guy and Gail Demers, $775. Carl Johnson, $775. Bruce L. and Barbara A. Tatro, $775. Article 2E, the town vote to authorize expenditures from these revolving funds for fiscal year 2026 without further appropriation. A Parks Oversight Revolving Fund from which the Parks Oversight Ad Hoc Committee may spend $30,000 in revolving fund money in fiscal year 2026. B, a Charter Day Revolving Fund from which the Charter Day Ad Hoc Committee can spend $30,000 in revolving fund money in fiscal year 2026. C, a Planning Board Fees Revolving Fund from which the Planning Board may spend $25,000 in revolving fund money in fiscal year 2026. D, an after-school activities program revolving fund from which the superintendent of schools may spend $20,000 in revolving fund money in fiscal year 2026. E, a dog revolving fund from which the police chief may spend $15,026 in revolving fund money in fiscal year 2026. F, a library revolving fund from which the library commissioners may spend $2,000 in revolving fund money in fiscal year 2026.
You want to hold 2E or 2F?
Library commissioner, do they need one library trustees?
Tomato, tomato. Tomato. That's the way it's written in the bylaws, library commissioners. The library commissioners are considered the library trustees, and this language is what was approved in our general bylaws. So if you need to change it, there'll have to be a bylaw change to change it to the Board of Library Trustees.
So do you want that out to vote on it separately, or are you keeping it in?
Okay, Article 2F, the town vote to authorize town departments to enter into agreements in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 4A for the fiscal year 2026. Article 2G, the town vote to allow the select board to appoint a member of the select board to a position that is under the supervision of the select board as allowed, under Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 21A. Article 2H, the town vote to amend the bylaws of the town of Granby, Volume 2, Chapter 15, Personal Bylaw, Appendix D, Compensation Plan Pay Schedules, and substituting a new Appendix D, showing the 9 pay grades and 10 steps to be effective July 1st, 2025. Copies of Chapter 15, Appendix D are available at the Select Board's office. Article 2I, the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $362,445 as its apportioned share of the fiscal year 2026 budget for the Pathfinder Regional Vocational Technical High School District. Lynn.
I just got a question. Terry.
I'm sorry, first of all, I can't hear you. Do you want to hold something out of the agenda? Well, then wait till we read through the agenda, the whole agenda, and then you can ask a question. Unless you want something to come out of the consent agenda. Wait until she finishes reading, and then we'll get the mic to you.
Article 2J, the town vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $272,708.43 authorized under Chapter 291 of the Acts of 2004 for highway construction and improvements defined under Chapter 90 of the general laws. Article 2K, the town vote to transfer from free cash $175,000 for the purpose of funding the town's other post-employment benefits, OPEB, liability.
Thank you. Can I have a second? Did you have a question?
Yeah.
Parker, can you give her the microphone, and can you please stand up with your name and address, please?
Teresa LaJoy, 160 School Street. I just have a question about the number of students that you have going to trade schools, be that Pathfinder, and I noticed you also have Smith Vocational.
And the moderator, Greg Falcone from Pathfinder is here, and he can answer that question.
So do we have?
So we have somebody from Pathfinder here, but in order to let him speak, I need to have town permission. So can I have a second? And I need a majority. All those in favor? Thank you. Go ahead. Could you come up to the microphone, or Parker can come to you, either way.
So in regard to Pathfinder right now, for FY25, there are 19 students there, and in FY26, there will be 22 students at Pathfinder.
Thank you.
We're not addressing that article yet.
Smith Vocational is not in the article. It's outside the scope of the article. In order for the consent agenda to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor of the articles 2A through 2K, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The consent agenda passes unanimously. The moderator will now call on Mr. Leonard to present the motion under Article 3.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I move that the town vote to accept Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5, Veterans Exemption Durational Domicile Requirement from being domiciled in Massachusetts for the 6 consecutive months before entering the service, or domiciled in Mass for the 5 consecutive years, 2 consecutive years beginning in fiscal year 2020, or if the alternative local option was accepted, 1 consecutive year before the exemption year, to now read, notwithstanding this section, in any town or city which accepts this clause, the exemptions available from the Board of Assessors office will apply to clauses 22nd, 22nd A, 22nd B, 22nd C, 22nd D, 22nd E, and 22nd F, which may be granted to otherwise eligible persons who have resided in the Commonwealth for 1 year prior to the date of filing for exemptions pursuant to the applicable clause.
Second? Second. And discussion?
Yes, Rich.
In English.
In English.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Parker, can you come and give the microphone to Mr. Damaraki?
Could you
And name and
explain,
address, please.
Rich Damaraki, Bachelor Street, could you explain in English what that paragraph refers to?
Well, I have Brian O'Toole back here saying that that was English. But he could be mistaken. What that essentially does is anytime veterans with varying degrees of disabilities apply for exemptions under state law, is it reduces the amount of waiting time. Prior to this article being accepted by the town, a veteran would have to have been a resident for 2 years before they're eligible for us to grant them any kind of exemption. This basically reduces it down to the effectiveness of 1 year, which is it would take them a full year to incur any kind of tax liability for their real estate anyways.
Any other questions? Seamus, up on the bleachers.
Seamus Con.
It was, you shut it off.
21 Ferry Hill Road, Granby. I got a question on the liability part. Is it as in liability law, or as in liability as in tax exempt?
I mentioned no liability. There's no liability in this.
Yeah.
Any other questions? In order for the motion to pass under Article 3, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor? Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator now calls on Ms. Menard to present the motion under Article 4.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I am presenting the Article 4 for the town to vote to accept Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 41, Section 108P, allowing additional compensation for a certified Massachusetts municipal collector or treasurer.
Second, and is there discussion? Yeah.
You want an explanation?
Go ahead.
So I'm asking the town voters that have showed up today to consider accepting this chapter of the law, not just for myself, but for anyone who holds either position. Ideally, it's for education. So if we didn't have it, it doesn't make anyone want to go take classes to learn or keep up with all the different duties. So this is more of a incentive to keep up on credits, learning new things that are changing every year is ideally the case here.
Rich, go ahead.
Rich Samaraki, Bachelor Street.
Is it on?
Yeah. It says compensation for a certified collector treasurer. Compensation is money. How much money are they referring to?
It's a,
Is it just education?
Go ahead, you can answer that. Yep.
it's a maximum of $1,000 a year.
Seeing no further questions, this has to pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator will now call on Ms. Bartos to present the motion under Article 5.
The town vote to borrow in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Clause 7, I don't know what that,
Section 7.
Section 7, Clause 1, for $106,848 for the purpose of funding the replacement of the standby emergency generator and surge protection at the high school for the school department.
Second, and discussion? Do you want to explain that, Jen?
It's to replace the generator.
Are there any questions? Seamus in the back? Go ahead.
Mr. Peters. Parker can do it, just let the young one do
Seamus Con.
it. Just let the young one do it.
I'm going to say that we vote on this. I'm going to say that we vote on this because the high school is used for emergency purposes during cases of disaster. Now, we don't have disasters that much in Granby, but I would 100% agree with this article due to the fact that we do have disasters at times, and we have had power outages in 2011. Remember the tornado. I would advise 100% of this article for the safety of Granby's residents and its people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And down on the floor here, Mr. Domaraki.
Rich Domaraki, Bachelor Street. Could you tell me how old the current generator is? And does it not work, or is it just high maintenance, or what?
Is it all right to ask the Director of Facilities to answer? He's not a town resident. Todd Dorman?
Oh, sure. In order to get Mr. Dorman to speak, I need to get a second and the majority of town meeting. So everybody in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Dorman.
Good evening. The generator is a 1967 military surplus. It was rebuilt in the mid-70s. It failed over a year ago. The fan came off, went through the radiator. There was significant damage, and we looked at having it repaired, and the parts aren't available.
Thank you. So in order for the motion under Article 5 to pass, it must pass by a 2/3 majority. So all those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously.
Article 6.
Now, the moderator will now call on Ms. Bartos to present the motion under Article 6.
I'm just trying to help. Article 6, the town vote to borrow in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Subsection 7, Clause 1, $34,332 for the purpose of purchasing a field maintainer for the school department.
Second? And is there discussion?
This is so that we can maintain the fields by helping the town to be able to do what we need to, as I understand.
In the middle of the bleachers, right behind you, Parker.
Terry LaJoy, School Street. Field maintainer, what exactly is that? Are you talking lawnmowers? You talking line equipment?
Who's going to speak to that?
Can Todd?
Oh, yep. Come on up, Mr. Norman. You already got permission.
Might as well just sit up here with me.
And you can sit up here.
The field maintainer right now there's one that is being shared by the town maintenance department for grooming the infields, particularly for the baseball and softball diamonds. And so it was recommended that the school department purchase one separately instead of having to have the one machine for all the town's fields.
Mr. Libera.
John Libera speaking for the Finance Committee. We don't need this. The town has one. It's been shared for years and years. I admit that there's probably some additional work than there used to be. But let me tell you, overtime is a whole lot cheaper than a $35,000 piece of equipment. And if you can't work out the conflicts and get times worked out for how to be done, I suggest you get a sophomore in high school who's good in math and will show you how to do it. Thank you.
Wow.
Go ahead. Jeremy over here wants a microphone, please. Yep.
Jeremy Carrier, 2 Phillip Circle, also the maintenance supervisor for the town. Though I believe everyone has their opinion with that, I really take offense to the bring in a student to find out time for us to be able to do this. I'm addressing everyone that I'm actually the one that recommended to the high school to put in for another infield maintainer. The original one was purchased in 2008. It's actually unknown how many hours are on that machine because the meter has broken on that. Just last year, we spent over $1,400 in repairs. It's nowhere near the amount of repairs that are needed in there. For us to pick up a piece of equipment and then probably by the end of the day have to bring it back again so that the high school can maintain all of their fields in an appropriate manner is not difficult. It is impossible. We've actually, as a town, allowed the high school to borrow it more, over 90% of the time, so that they can have the students play appropriately on the fields in a safe environment, so that they don't have clumps of grass and debris. I really believe that the school should have this, and I ask you to all consider it. I don't put anything forward that I think is frivolous or that the town shouldn't spend money on. So please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. In the back here?
So, working. Melissa Rickson, South Street. Why are we borrowing? Is there available free cash to pay for this in lieu of borrowing?
No, there is not. All our free cash is being used on other articles.
Seamus up in the back?
Connolly, 21 Ferry Hill Road, Granby. I'm going to say that we need to vote. That we need to vote on this. That Jeremy had recommended to the town on the fact that and you cannot get a high school student to do this in 2025. And I really would want to say, as somebody who has volunteered and has put 20 years worth of since I was in high school with GAA, the Booster Club. I would really recommend that we do this because it is making a lot of parents frustrated, and I don't think you can really get high school kids to do this in 2025, not as we used to in some other years. And I really would like to say I usually do not get offended by that much, but this is one of those issues where I really have to stick up for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Libera?
John Libera of the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee certainly did not recommend that we hire high school kids to do this. What we recommended was that if you can't figure out how to work out the schedule, get a sophomore in high school to work out the schedule, not to do the work. Thank you.
Still insulting. All right, in order for the motion under Article 6 to pass, it must pass by a 2/3 majority. So all those in favor, please raise your cards. All right, all those opposed? So I'm going to have the counters come out. All right, are the counters ready? Okay. So all those in favor, please raise your cards and keep them up. Thank you. Thank you. All those opposed, please raise your cards. Thank you. The vote fails, 24 noes to 32 yeses. The moderator will now call on Ms. Bartos to present the motion under Article 7.
The town vote to transfer from free cash $47,851 for the purpose of funding the replacement of hosts and dado units for the school department.
Second? Second. And discussion?
Permission to have David from the school for technology?
Sure, in order for Mr. David from the school. I need a majority of town meeting. All in favor? Thank you. Go ahead, David L.
I didn't want to butcher it.
Don't give.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
The dado.
Just explain.
Oh, I thought someone had a specific question.
Just
An explanation. The dado is a backup system for the computer network. That's part of this, and the file servers that run the entire school network operations. That's what this article will replace: all the hardware, the corresponding software, and the services of a computer engineer to set it up.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Rich Domaraki, Bachelor Street. What system are you using now? And do you have a backup system now?
Yeah, we have a current backup system, same brand, a dado, and we have 2 physical servers which host 7 virtual servers. Those devices are end of life. Upgrades and patches for them are going to soon become unavailable. And it was the recommendation to have those replaced so that they continue to be reliable and don't fail unexpectedly, or to minimize the chance of an unexpected failure, and to make them secure, because when patches stop being released, then you become vulnerable to cyber attacks, malware, ransomware. You become more vulnerable. Everyone's vulnerable, but it increases your chances of having a problem. It's like a car. A brand new car can break, but a car with 300,000 miles on it is more likely to fail, and that's kind of where we are.
But this is more than the backup. You're saying it's secure?
No, the backup was listed in the article, but the backup is part of it. It's the backup appliance, and it's also the physical servers that run the entire campus.
But it's security also.
Security is connected to it, because if the devices get too old, they don't have security.
So this is not an upgrade. It's actually physically buying.
Physical replacement of all that equipment that's on the server rack in the IT closet.
On the bleachers behind you? Oh, no, it was Miss LaJoy who had the question.
This covers both or your schools on the campus, so it covers all the.
Yes, we have one server, not one server, we have one network that runs all operations at the school. So that includes both buildings, administrative, instructional, physical plant is connected to this as well.
Okay, thank you.
And behind you?
Shamus Connolly, 21 Ferry Hill Road, Granby. I also would like to say what Mr. Kern had said about cyber attacks. I really would advise people to vote on this. A lot of our students' information could be on those servers, and including like phone contacts, emergency information, stuff like that the principal has to get a hold of parents, and also has to and could have medical information. So I really would advise people to vote yes on this, because it could put our kids in some serious danger as far as what he said about cyber attacks. There could be bad actors. I know in Utah, I heard on the news that there was a cyber attack. This was CBS News last year. It happened in 2024. So I really would advise people to vote yes on this, because there is information that does not need to be in the public domain. Thank you very much.
In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Ms. Bartos to present the motion under Article 8.
The town vote to transfer from account number 30-300-5802-ART ATM 061614, number 16, School Security Systems, $4, and transfer from free cash $114,887 for a total of $114,891 for the purpose of funding technology upgrades for the school department.
Second, and discussion.
David?
Similar to the previous article, we have a lot of end user equipment, mostly desktop PCs, that are end of life. They have also been identified by one of the computer engineering firms that did an assessment for us as being in need of replacement. As of October 15th, a lot of these devices will not be eligible for security updates because they operate Windows 10. It is now the position of the Executive Office of Technology Services for the state of Massachusetts that these systems come offline and not be used. So this article would replace all those devices. Some of those devices are in classrooms, school library, and some in offices, and some are actually connected to physical plant equipment that help make our physical plant equipment function. In addition to that, there's also some large battery backup systems for the IT closets for this building, for the East Meadow School. We had some of those devices unexpectedly fail on us early this year, and when they were repaired, the other remaining ones were evaluated and identified as near failure, and it was suggested that they be replaced as well. Those devices obviously keep the network, the critical operations from abruptly shutting down if there's a brief power outage, and it also protects from power surges for certain parts of the IT environment.
Thank you. Mr. Maraki?
Rich Demaraki, Bachelor Street. Could you tell us how many?
I don't think it's on.
It's on. She's gonna hold it a bit closer.
Oh, just hold it up closer.
Okay. Could you tell me how many computers are involved in this? How many are you buying? And what type of computers?
So when this article was prepared months ago, obviously the market was much different. The computer market was much different. And so computer models change quickly. So, we used a combination. We spec'd out some Dell computers for some. We also looked at some Lenovo, some HPs. So we're not no, these almost all of them are desktop computers because they're in fixed locations. Okay. So that's what we looked out. The numbers comes out to approximately 85 devices with the software and the data conversion and migration, and then the battery packs. There's 2 closets in this building that are going to require the battery packs to be replaced.
Thank you.
Over here, Ms. Menard.
Nicole Menard, Bachelor Street. Has anyone applied for the IT grants that the state offers? They give you up to $200,000.
We applied for a grant, not that particular grant. We applied for another grant that's specific to replacing some of these devices. The grant has a maximum dollar figure of $25,000. So I was able to put together a project for a little bit shy of the $25,000. I submitted it to the state, and we may not know until June if it's going to be approved or not. If that does get approved, then we will use that money for that portion, and then that would reduce the amount of money that we need to expend from this article.
Well, if this doesn't pass, there's a grant you could apply for that's up to $200,000.
Any other questions on the bleachers?
Terry LaJoy, I'm just curious as to what percentage of all your computers you're replacing, and is this going to be a rotating from year to year because you're probably up against more that are going to fail, or they're going to?
So the way computers are used in schools has changed a lot in recent years. We actually use less traditional computers in schools now because for students we're using mostly Chromebooks. Probably 95% of student work is done on a Chromebook as opposed to a traditional computer. So these computers are going to go in offices. Like I said, there are a couple of labs at the high school that they will be used in, but that's for specific classes such as computer science, computer design. And I'm optimistic that these computers will last, and once again optimistic, until Windows 11 lasts. And I think Windows 11 is scheduled to be supported until 2031. So ideally, that would be the life we would get.
In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator will now call on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 9.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from account number 30-541-5801, article at the annual town meeting on June 15, 2015, number 22, vehicle, $20,980, and transfer from free cash $20,015 for the total of $40,995 for the purpose of purchasing a new vehicle for the Council on Aging Department.
Second. And is there discussion on that?
This is basically to replace the small transit vehicle. It's a 10-year-old vehicle for the Council on Aging. And it is starting to show its age and starting to have major repair issues with it, and therefore we're replacing it with a newer vehicle.
Do you still have your question? Okay, right here on the floor.
No, you answered my question.
Oh, we answered it, okay. Any other questions? Go ahead.
When you say a small, Terry LaJoy, when you say a small transit vehicle, this is the one that you transport for appointments and whatnot of seniors? Okay, and
Yes, ma'am.
is that a one-person vehicle, or is this the one that, the van, when you say a small vehicle?
The vehicle that is being planned on being, the Council on Aging is planning on purchasing, I believe was a Ford Escape size vehicle.
Any other questions? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator will now call on Mr. Jeremy Caravage to present the motion under Article 10.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from account number 30-610-5801-ART, annual town meeting, 060302, number 35, ADA modifications, $10,933.29. Transfer from account number 30-192-5817, ART, special town meeting, 03-1413. Number 3, demolish Aldrich Hall, $5,480. And transfer from free cash, $106,786.71 for a total of $123,200 for the purpose of funding the replacement of the energy management system for the public safety complex.
Second, and is there discussion?
Madam Moderator, this is to replace the energy management system that is at the public safety building. That is the computerized system that operates all of the heating and cooling for the building and also the makeup air. Currently, we are using FMC Technologies as one of our companies that oversees the programming of it and the day-to-day operations if there are any problems. Currently, we're having main panel failure. All of the parts for those panels are becoming obsolete. So if we were to have a failure, it could be days before they could get a used possible panel to get it up and running, which would have to be programmed. So at this time, it's been recommended by 3 separate companies to replace that system. We are also currently looking into Innovus Energy has come out. They're doing energy audits of the building. So though we have put in that we'd like this money, we're looking for money to be initiatives that would allow us to do this and possible grants. So we may not need all of this money to replace the system.
Thank you. Any questions? Rich? Mike's coming.
Rich Demaraki, Bachelor Street. Could you tell me how old the current management system is? And the 123,000, is that for software or hardware or both?
So the original building, when it was all put into place, so we're at 15 years old. So that is the lifespan of the system is actually anywhere from 10 to 15. So we've kind of outlived most of that. So this is going to replace some of the software and hardware. So we're actually going to put inside of the buildings, there are 4 components inside of there where they have the controls. So all of those would be replaced, and they would also take where the VAV, the boxes are, would also all be reprogrammed into that system as well.
Thank you. In order for the motion under Article 10 to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator will now call on Chief O'Grady to present the motion under Article 11.
Article 11, the town vote to transfer from account number 30-420-5801, article, annual town meeting dated 7/25/2020, number 12, dump truck, $16,861. Transfer from account number 30-420-5803, article, annual town meeting dated 5/9/22, number 11, asphalt recycler, $501. Transfer from account number 30-420-5808, article, annual town meeting dated 6/18/2012, number 22, mower, $2,336.88. Transfer from account number 30-420-5809, article, special town meeting dated 8/26/13, number 2, $3,685.01. And transfer from free cash $54,222.11 for a total of $77,606 for the purpose of funding the purchase of a marked cruiser for the police department.
Second, and discussion.
This is to replace the 2021 Ford Explorer that has approximately 91,000 miles on it, but has 16,896 engine hours, which accumulates to approximately 460,000 miles on it. This will be a line car that is going to shift one of the other cars further down, and this would be a primary car responding during emergencies. My hope is to be able to repurpose this car to update the animal control car, which is a 2013 Ford Explorer with approximately 105,000 miles on it, and we would trade the 2013 in. But with some of the green energy stuff, I have to confirm that I can do it, that it falls under my department, and it would just be a lateral transfer department-wise and not switching to another department.
Go ahead, Rich.
Rich Demaraki, Bachelor Street. Could you tell me, is this a hybrid vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Anyone else? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator now calls on Mr. DeRosa to present a motion under Article 12.
I move the town vote to borrow in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7, Clause 1, $124,000 for the purpose of funding the purchase of a Bobcat for the Highway Department.
Second, and discussion.
It's not only a Bobcat. One of the prime duties of that machine is a milling attachment as well. The mill that we have currently was purchased used sometime around 2008. We had quite a bit of jerry rigging to get it to work on the Bobcat, but it's going to be a package mill and Bobcat. It's very difficult to sometimes get the attachments working with just like a rental unit or whatever. This is a machine that goes out every time we pave. We mill the transitions with it. We used it extensively on the paving at the cemetery, and it will be used again at the library in a couple of weeks. It's a critical piece that if it goes down, it delays the contractors from coming in and is difficult to reschedule them.
Go ahead on the bleachers, Terry.
Terry LaJoy, I'm just curious, you already have a milling attachment and no Bobcat, correct? Because you rented to put this on?
No, we have both.
You have both.
What I'm saying is it's difficult. If that machine goes down, it's difficult to rent one sometimes. Not everybody has the mills. Not everybody has the Bobcats that attach to the mills. When we purchased that mill attachment, it was a John Deere mill, and we were renting a John Deere Bobcat while they had one, a high flow in stock. It takes a high flow machine to run the mill attachments, and there's been a lot of changes in the designs. Bobcat has gone to a 5-pin instead of a 14-pin control. So it gets really complicated when you're
So you're buying the attachment, so it definitely
It's a
fits on.
combination unit.
Okay, so what are you doing with the old one that's on? Yes.
What we were talking about doing with the old one is repurposing it in-house, not the mill. The mill is pretty much beat up pretty badly. The main carrier bolt stripped out on us the last time we were using it on, I forget what project we were using it on, maybe the cemetery. We retapped it and we replaced the bolt that sheared. However, the housing itself is worn from the abuse. And we're thinking about repurposing the skid steer itself, not the mill, to the building maintenance department for use as a snow blower.
On the floor here. Rich?
Rich Demaraki, Bachelor Street. Could you tell me on the Bobcat, you said milling, do you actually mean taking up the asphalt?
Correct.
So what do? You do small projects?
We do all of the prep work for the contractors. We do all of the slow work. That way there, when the contractor comes in, he just paves one day in, out, and he gives us the most aggressive pricing.
But even long roads?
Long roads, we do every driveway apron. We cut the driveway aprons. We used to cut them with a partner saw. It makes a lot of dust and it goes through a lot of blades, and it would take us days. Whereas with the mill, you can cut just about every driveway apron and a mile of road in one day.
Are you talking about a small Bobcat, or what size is this vehicle?
Ours is a, let me see what I got a quote on.
Just curious.
Quote you exactly what they quoted me. Ours is our current one is a T650, and they quoted me on paper.
You got too many papers there.
Yeah, I know it. There we go. The new number is a T76 T4 Bobcat track loader. 74 horsepower.
I'm sorry, the person behind you has a question, so we'll have him ask it.
Jacob Lemke, West Street. So I'm a heavy truck equipment mechanic and heavy truck, heavy equipment mechanic. And I'm curious on, I haven't ran into any issues of being able to swap milling heads to other machines. And you were saying there was issues with being able to rent. I've had multiple people be able to go to Milton Cat and get renting heads. For milling equipment, no issues. So I was just curious what type of issues we're having on that. And if the machine is going to be repurposed, why not just keep the machine we have?
Because the machine we have has a broken spring carrier on the housing. It needs work.
Yeah, so why give it to building maintenance?
Because it's going to be a lighter duty use in building maintenance if it's just used for snow blower. We're using that thing multi-purpose, many different places around town. We use it for brush hog cutting. We use it for forks attachments to carry heavy objects over rough terrain all the time. And what happened was there's a broken roller on the track frame.
Yep.
And that involves taking the tracks off.
Oh, I know. I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not cheap, as you know. When we contract work out,
Keep it for.
it gets expensive.
I'd keep it instead of giving it to building maintenance. You know, we're one town, so let's keep one machine then. Then let's trade it in and keep one machine and share it between the both.
Thank you.
Right.
Rich, do you still have a question? Okay. In order for the motion to pass, it must pass by a 2/3 majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a 2/3 majority. The moderator will now call on Mr. DeRozier For the motion under Article 13.
I move the town vote to borrow in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7, Clause 1, $95,000 for the purpose of funding the purchase of a one-ton dump truck for the Highway Department.
And a second, and discussion.
This is a 2015 truck. We're trying to replace, we've got two in the same vintage in the fleet right now. We're trying to keep them updated. We just, this one just went down about a month ago, derated. We do a lot of the repairs. We do most of the repairs of all of our equipment in-house. And we just spent, I forget what it was on this. This last repair was over $1,000 just in parts. If we would have sent it out, it would have probably been about a $7,000 repair. We had to pull the DPF completely out of it. The DPF had to be cleaned. When these trucks get to that age, they start having a lot of problems with the emissions on them. When it trips a code, it derates, you're at the side of the road going 5 miles an hour, limping it back to the shop. You can't do any work with it. That truck has about 70,000 miles on it, but like the cruisers, it has the equivalent of probably 250,000 or more miles on your daily driving car because it idles all the time. That particular truck is the truck we use for pothole patching all over town. So it'll go from pothole to pothole. It's running 8 hours a day, all day long.
Any questions? Go ahead, on the bleachers.
Terry LaJoy, you're trading in? You're trading it in, the old one? Getting rid of it?
We would probably auction it. That's what we've been doing. I don't know what the administrator would like to do in the future.
In order for the motion to pass under Article 13, it must pass by a 2/3 majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? Motion passes by a 2/3 majority. The moderator now calls on Mr. Skipton to present the motion under Article 14.
Madam Moderator, I vote that the town vote to transfer from account number 81-491-5798-395 Perpetual Care Trust $37,000 for the purpose of funding the purchase of a tractor for the cemetery department.
And a second, and discussion.
So we're looking to replace our tractor. It's a 1997 John Deere. It has about 1,900 hours on it right now. Last summer, we started having some issues with the hydraulic system and had to have a costly repair on it. And as starting to fix the leaks in the hydraulic system, now we're starting to have other problems in the hydraulic system. It needs new tires, the park and brake doesn't work, and we're starting to have some problems with the control for the front loader. So, you know, the age of the machine, it's kind of caught up, so we're looking to replace it.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Go ahead, Mr. Domoraki.
Do you have bids for a new tractor?
Yeah, so we've got a bid from John Deere and Kubota, but basically very similar in price for similar subcompact tractor machines. So basically very similar to what we have now, just a new model.
Up in the bleachers, Seamus.
Seamus Connolly, 21 Very Hill Road, Granby. I got a question on the bidding. Is it going to be like a more newer model? Is it going to be more like a used model? I'm just curious.
It's going to be brand new.
It's going to be brand new, like 2024 brand new, or more like 2022 brand new,
Like
or 2025.
this model year, so 2025.
All right, that sounds good.
The
Thank
last
you.
one's last was about 30 years. We hope to get another 25, 30 years out of the new machine. So
All right, that sounds that sounds very, very good. You'll definitely need it to last that long.
anyone else?
In order for the motion under Article 14 to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator will now call on Mr. Labonte to present the motion under Article 15.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to transfer from free cash $86,772 for the purpose of funding the tuition for Smith Vocational and Agricultural High School students.
Second? And discussion?
This will be for tuition for 4 students.
In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator will now call on Mr. Labonte to present the motion under Article 16.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate $613,048 to operate the Municipal Solid Waste Department. Wages of $5,000, expenses of $608,048 for a total of $613,048. And that $20,000 be raised from municipal solid waste receipts, $80,000 be raised from retained earnings, and $513,048 be raised from tax levy.
Second? And any discussion? All right, in order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator calls on Ms. Dufresne to present the motion under Article 17.
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to raise and appropriate $310,580 to operate the sewer department. Wages, $11,240. Expenses, $239,540. And debt, $59,800 for a total of $310,580. And that $310,580 be raised from sewer receipts.
Second? Any discussion? All right, in order for the motion to pass under Article 17, it must pass by, do you have a question?
No.
Oh, must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. The moderator now calls on Chief Anderson to present the motion under Article 18. But in order to get Chief Anderson to speak at town meeting, I need to have a second and the majority.
Second.
So all those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening. The town vote to raise and appropriate $606,878 to operate the ambulance department. Wages $380,610, expenses $112,829, capital $17,700, debt $95,739 for a total of $606,878. And that $506,878 be raised from ambulance receipts and $100,000 be raised from retained earnings.
Thank you. Second? And discussion? On the bleachers? Ms. LaJoy?
Terry LaJoy, I'm just curious as to how many people you have pertaining to the wages. And does this include when you have help from other towns? Or is this strictly the people you have in town?
So currently there's six career plus the chief's position, plus we operate off a pool of per diems or part-timers that goes up and down as far as a count goes. Right now we have probably, I'm going to say 8 or 9 that we utilize. And as far as other towns, when other towns come into us, we don't pay anything. It's only the transporting ambulance that actually charges per se.
Any other questions? In order for this motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes unanimously. The moderator will now call on Chief Anderson to present the motion under Article 19.
The town vote to transfer from retained earnings $27,000 for the purpose of purchasing an auto pulse CPR unit for the ambulance department.
Second, and discussion?
This unit it's a mechanical device that performs CPR for you so the medics can apply drugs, do other things medically in the back of the ambulance. The current unit's about 15 years old. It's no longer supported for parts and et cetera.
Any other questions? In order for the motion to pass, it must pass by a majority. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. All those opposed? The motion passes by a majority. The moderator will now call for a motion to adjourn the annual town meeting and reconvene it on June 9th, 2025. All those in favor, please raise your cards. Thank you. Have a good night.
Let's go.